I've spent such a long time trying to make good friends who I respect and who respect me. And the biggest lesson I've learned is you got to be respected yourself for you to find friends who you respect. You can't like have it all, you got to bring some kind of value. I've spent a long time learning about this kind of stuff, and pretty much everywhere I go at the moment, there's people who I really like spending time with, who treat me really well, who have my back. And that is the best feeling in the world. And I'm going to share with you exactly how you can get to the point where that's your life. The most important thing I ever learned, like I promise you, ever, with your social life and your friends respecting you. I remember this one time when we were younger, this guy in the photo and I, like maybe 8 years, no, 5 years ago, he grew facial hair way earlier than any of us. He was like unreally early to get facial hair. And we were calling him Harry McClary. And this bothered him. And one day he came to me, he's like, yo, bro, like it really upsets me when you guys say like Harry McClary, like it's a big deal to me and all that shit, right? And so at the time, since it bothered him, he came to me, he stood up for himself. And I like kind of just, I was a dickhead. I just laughed saying like, nah, it's not even a big deal. He said, well, it's like a big deal to me. Like, can you please stop, bro? And I said like, all right, my bad, my bad. A few days later in class, I did it again. And he just looked at me and he just like ignored me. He's like, he gave me like a foul look. He's like, bro, I told you not to say that. And then he just like went back to doing his work in class. He didn't speak. He didn't like. He took some distance away from me. He didn't like talk to me for a bit. And since it bothered him, he held his ground. Like it really like genuinely got on his nerves when everyone in class was doing that shit. And I was his friend and I was joining him. And then a few days later, I was like, you know what? My bad. I went up to him. I was like, bro, I'm sorry. Like, because he had been distancing from me. I was like, why? This guy's pissed at me. And then I said, like, yo, I'm sorry about calling you Harry McClare. He's like, it's all right, bro. Just don't do it again. And we were great friends from that point on. You don't need to be angry. You just need to be stern. Like, yo, that really bothered me. And the reason that you can do this or not is usually if, like, the people who do this naturally, they already have great friends. Like, abundance, they have a great friend, so they don't care. Like, they have a great friend who respects them, so they don't care if this. They're not going to let this other random dude disrespect them because they've been treated with good respect by somebody else, and they're not going to, like, they don't need to hang out with this other guy just for validation, so they don't, like, sacrifice their values. The thing is, just a big ass warning for you, bro. Don't be a fucking, like, stick up your ass dickhead where, you're with your. When I'm with my mates, I'm like, oh, you have nicknames, you take the piss. Like, don't be around, or in general, like, don't be fucking soft, bro, because it's just so unnecessary. Just be easygoing, be fun to be around. And then when there's something that, like, actually bothers you, then you gotta tell, like, yo, bro, that's a bit dog. And eventually, when you keep doing that with, like, the same person, you're both gonna, like, learn exactly not to do these certain things when you're with each other. And that's how you gain, like, that good level of respect. Okay, the next slide. I remember this one time in school where this new kid came and I was like, oh, I quite like him. And someone was like, nah, he's weird, he's weird. Did you ever want to be friends with them more once you heard that other people didn't like him? And that reminded me about this important thing I'm about to share with you that you can bring value from. I remember I was at the gym with this guy and I said hi to him. We met this first time. We got food, and I was like, "Yo, do you want to go out tomorrow night?" The next night, we went on a night out. He came with my friends. I introduced him to tons of people, and he was like, "Bro, you know so many people." I had this value to provide to him that I could like show him a really fun time. He could come out with the boys. It would be great, and we got really close because of that. Because he's a really hardworking guy, and I guarantee you, the guys who are hardworking usually lack in being social or lack in like being able to talk to girls. And so, by being that guy, you can help people along that journey, and it's the best value you could ever give to anybody. And the thing is, bro, you might be wondering, why would you want to bring value? Like, why do you need to bring value to somebody? Well, it's just common sense, right? Nobody in human history has ever wanted to be friends with some dickhead, right? With some loser. It's fine for your friend to be doing really well and he's losing. Like, he's having a shit time, so you stick by him because he's your day one bro. You don't switch up on your friends ever. But if in the first place you're not even close, why would you want to be friends with some bum ass dickhead? Everybody needs to bring value. You're not gonna want to like meet somebody if they're just like they do nothing, they're a loser, they're not in good shape, they're not funny. Like, you gotta have these basic things. And I'm telling you, the most fucking overpowered way to bring value make friends, be really well respected, is to be liked in a social circle, or to just have the opportunity to have a few like friends you can introduce them to. If you have a girl and you can ask her, "Oh, do you have a friend for my friend? Oh, let's go on a two mans." Guys will like you more. They'll like, "Wow, this guy's got my back. He's setting me up." Or you invite your friend to come to a party with you. Everybody fucks with that, bro. That is more value than most guys could ever give. And then another kind of value that is really valuable, like as well, obviously is valuable. This guy, I was speaking to my friend about this guy that I'm close with, and we were like, "Yo, every time you speak to him, he makes you feel better. He makes you laugh." That is another way of bringing value. Value doesn't need to be your richest shit or anything. And so, if you're not necessarily the most social guy yet. Just be that nice guy who people feel better after talking to you, who you're very friendly. You have a good laugh. And I'm gonna get into this advice on how to the connections part and like how to pull off the feeling good to be around, like being really social angle. And then I have a few notes at the end. So you might be wondering like, who the fuck am I? Like, do I even have a reputation or anything? And I'm gonna be honest with you, in school I didn't have this. And that's when I noticed how powerful it was, because I got my rep in Hong Kong from going out, and I'm gonna tell you how I did that. And like, or at least within my age group. But at school, I didn't have that same angle. Like, I was just that weird, like that kid. I was studying, but I didn't really know anybody. And I got treated so differently, bro. It's unreal. Like, I can't even compare it. It's like at my school, people wouldn't even like care who I was. But when I'm going out, I just have random people who I don't even remember meeting before being like trying to talk to me and shit. And I get like some of this is a cultural difference between Hong Kong and Australia, but I don't actually believe that. I've seen really popular guys in Australia pulling off this exact angle. So I think that's just a limiting belief. This guy, the second guy in the picture, he's like, "Yeah, everyone knows you." Before we got close, he was telling me like, "Yeah, you've got like a good rep. You've got like a lot of clout in some sense for our age." And this is true. Like, I know a lot of people. You might be wondering like, how do I do this? How do I have this effect? I mean, first of all, I try to just stick with the boys that I really respect, who go to the gym, who are funny, who are like similar to me in some sense, who I've known for a while. But it's nice because I can go out on a night out and I'll meet somebody. I'll be like, "Oh, we should meet," and it's just so much easier. Like, people are just genuinely down to do shit with me. I meet new friends all the time. I go. So you might be wondering, how did this start? Well, at first, when I was 14, this one party was going on, and I'd been like trying to meet some people, and it was like slowly coming along. This guy was introducing me to these guys. I went over to this girl's house once, not me and her, but like with a few people, and it was like the early teenage crowd thing, and it honestly it was bad for me in some senses, but I got so much value from it. Let me explain. Over a year, I started to meet people, and I was going to these parties, and I got like every weekend there would be 50 to 100 people, like teenagers, all going out. And all I would do is I would kind of just do like the dumb teenage stuff, like you're drinking and you're doing all those things along those lines. And that ended up making me like some friends. I met a lot of people, and some of those people I'm still friends with now. The thing is, I don't know if I would have ever been quite as social if I didn't, or if I would ever had like that rep now, if I didn't do that when I was young. Because I met such a broad amount of people that when I go on nights out, oh, like this, because it was like it's like being like a popular kid at school, except it was outside of school. It was definitely a lucky opportunity because it's not like at school where everyone's like a bit of a dick to each other. It was in Hong Kong in this specific like this rare occurrence where there's like this massive like 50, 100 person group chat of like people from all different schools who actually were all really, really friendly. And that gave me the best advantage to go from like really awkward to really social. I remember when I went to these hangouts, most of the time I'd just be standing around silent. But a few years later, even now I still bump into people I knew from back then and I'm like closer with them. But the thing is, from that, like knowing that many people, then they introduced me to their friends, and then their friends, I got closer with them, and then their friend, then everybody just like, all of a sudden, when realistically how it goes is you meet somebody on a night out in Hong Kong, and you're like, "Yo, what's up? So you're chatting, you have to be fun yourself. But then you show somebody your Insta, or they've already heard of you, but like, let's say they haven't heard of you, you show them your Insta, and they're like, wow, like how do you know this person? You've got 5 mutuals with me. And I'm like, yeah, no, that guy's my friend. And then all of a sudden you have a mutual friend, you have something great to talk about. And I promise you, I've seen this in Australia a shit ton. When you have mutuals with somebody, or you're like friends, close friends over close friend, it's really, really easy to meet, like, to just go off that, like, it's like a really easy one up. A lot of the time, bro, there'll just be people coming up to me, like, who already have heard of me, or maybe like they follow my Insta or something. Like, my name goes around a lot, and this is not me being arrogant. Like, I genuinely get recognized by people I don't remember meeting, or people who have like said, "Oh, like, yo, I've heard your name. Like, what's up? How you going?" And it may not be like I'm famous or anything, but like for my age, I'm basically famous. And the reason that I could pull this off here in Hong Kong is because I keep going to. So there's this area called. I'm not going to say the area, right? But there's this area where a lot of people go every single Saturday that have always been my age. And I would go there, be super social. And I've been going like quite often over the last few years that I've gotten a chance to like meet so many new people. And eventually, when you like, the reason that this like social effect worked, I already explained it. But the reason it like all came together for me is because I had that one place I could go to and be really friendly at. And I know this one guy in my mind who's like a little bit chubby. He's not really in good shape. He's like a bit of a weird bloke, but he still has like a great social life. And what he did, this is a guy from Australia. He would play AFL every Saturday, and I think he played club specifically. And so when he would play club games, he would meet people and he would be nice. And his team respected him because it's clubs. Club and school is different. School, you're forced to be friends with them. Club, you kind of get to like chat to the boys. You know, it's outside of school. It's a bit more relaxed. And you know, you're a good lad. Especially if you're good at your sport. Just be a good bloke. Go to these like weekends. And then all of a sudden, when he came to my school, he already knew like people in the years above, like, oh, I'm from footy. Oh, you're going to Melbourne, and you know like some guy who's having a party because you played footy with him, and it just like all comes together. And I reckon, you know, I did this because I had my place where it's good for me because I got to go to this area where people were just being social. But like, if you can't think of a place where you can do that, just do it with a sport. I genuinely reckon that would be an amazing idea. Now, oh shit. Improving good to be around is an interesting one. I promise you, you can change this because a lot of people think, oh, you're born with your personality, you're introverted, you're quiet. None, that's bullshit. Have you ever been talking to somebody and words pop in your mind, and you think, oh, no, I'm not going to say that out loud. Well, when you do that, you're like selling your social life. You know, when I was quiet, a lot of the time, yeah, nothing would come to my mind. But when there was things that were coming to my mind, then I still wouldn't say it most of the time because I would be scared, like, oh, is this guy gonna judge what I say? Like, I was genuinely scared to say any single word, and that's when I realized that you're never gonna make any friends if you're scared to. This fucking mosquito. Never mind. You're never gonna make any friends if you're scared to be yourself. If you can't say the words that are coming in your mind, because that's the thing that your subconscious brain has like thought about and like put to your mind, and it should be something that's easy for you to say. The other thing is when you say things that come to your mind, like, oh, you go to the gym, bro, or you train, then you're being more of yourself, and it's easier to meet friends who you actually mess with. And the thing is that, you know, of course, being authentic, that doesn't mean you go around exposing your whole life story the first time you meet everybody. Because that may not necessarily be like the best way to go about it. Obviously, just use your social intelligence. If somebody opened up with me, like, yeah, I mean, it would be chill. But like, if I didn't relate to that, I'd be like, yeah, so why are you telling me? Or unless you were already clicking with someone well, then you're much more honest. But yeah, bro, I'm just saying, just trust me on this one. If you keep saying the words that come to your mind, eventually, you know, sometimes it might be something that's like a bit fucked up. You say some wrong thing, you insult someone accidentally. All you gotta do is say like, "Oh, I'm sorry, bro. Like, I was just thinking without speaking," you know. And people will just say, "Oh, yeah, yeah, it's no worries," or you just say like, "Yeah, my bad, I messed up." Now the next point I have is this is when I realized silence didn't matter. I was with these two girls at like this pier, and basically for the longest time I was like stressed about everything I was saying. Like I would be so scared for the conversation to go silent. So I would start stressing, trying to come up with like words so that the conversation never ended. And when you're not fine with silence and you don't remind yourself silence isn't good a lot, it really fucks you up, bro. I'm telling you. And so when I was sitting at this like kind of pier watching the water with these two girls, and they were just like sometimes going silent and not saying anything. This was the first time because I was quite comfortable around them, good friends of mine, that I was like not worried to say something. And the interesting thing that happened is when I didn't worry about saying something, that something actually would come to pop up in my mind and it wouldn't even be awkward. The silence wasn't awkward. It was when the silence happened, I would like panic and you could hear it in my voice when I'd be like, "Oh, so what do you think about this?" And you bring this horrible energy that people can hear. And that is nasty, bro. Like people don't like being around someone who seems like that. People do not care if you're like the perfect conversationalist. They just care about how they make you feel. So like I don't care if I'm hanging around somebody. He doesn't need to be the most like perfect guy to speak about, relate to me on everything. But if this guy is like tweaking over like holding a conversation nonstop and he's like always like stressed out on what to say, then I'm not going to enjoy his company because it's going to stress me out. And you got to understand that silence is only like if you think silence is going bad, like silence happening is bad, then that's just your perception of it. You know, you might be hanging out with somebody who also doesn't care about silence. And so those guys, those are the guys who are usually really social, but like it's hard to explain because they just don't give a fuck that they went silent. So the awkward silence doesn't affect them. So why don't we just all like realize, yeah, silence doesn't matter? Because as soon as you believe that it doesn't affect you, it doesn't anymore. And the last thing is when you're going around and you're at somewhere social or you're at your footy team, just go around just saying hi to some people. You know, hey, how you going? Nice to meet you. And you just say something nice here and there. You can pull this off being a quiet guy. Like I'm not actually a really quiet guy when you get to know me, but like if you're still a quiet guy when you're really close with somebody, then you can definitely still pull that off. You know, some people really like the kind of quiet guy. You only speak when you know it's something you really want to say, but you can talk to somebody, you know, when you need to. And, you know, that obviously you're going to be so much better at being social when you start going out. But I'm giving you all the knowledge here. And honestly, just go around pretending everyone likes you, bro. Just, you know, it doesn't matter if you faking it a little. You know, obviously, if someone's giving you the clear signals, the thing is, bro, if you pretend someone likes you, you go up to them. Imagine if you meet this guy and your friend says, "Oh yeah, he really liked you." So the next time you go, "Yeah, what's up, bro? So good to see you, man. Yeah. I'm going to play some. I'm going to the gym after school." You're chatting a bit, and you just pretended that he liked you, or your friend told you that he liked you, and then you're bonding really well. You get really close. But what if your friend just made up the fact that he liked you? You now acted like he already liked you, and when you act like that people already like you, then it's straight heat, bro. It's just so easy to talk. You can be a bit arrogant, honestly, bro. I give you my blessing. Like go around thinking way too many people like you. Because the thing is, bro, all that really matters is the reflection of your mind. It doesn't really fucking matter if some people think this or like it only matters what you think of yourself most of the time. Because if a lot of people don't like you, have these beliefs about you, and let's say I'm from Australia, now I'll just move when I'm older. I'll just go to a different state or something, or just go to a new school, and not everyone will know you there, bro. So just move around. Like it genuinely, it's what you think about yourself, or no, or how you act about what you think about yourself that makes the biggest impact. The last thing is, bro, be the best at something. If you're really good at basketball, or you're the gym guy, or you're the YouTube guy, or you're the party guy, that's easy, bro. People fuck with that. People just fuck with you being like really good at something. You know, you're always at a party. You invite everyone. You're the fun guy. You're always grinding basketball. You're the basketball guy. You know. Look, then in terms of gym, the main thing people respect is just looking good in your clothes. And like, just don't be skinny fat or fat, because then people just treat you like shit and they're just dickheads, especially when you're a teenager. And just bulk, bro. I wasn't. I was skinny fat, and I thought I could cut myself into abs, but that's not how it works. You need to bulk to build the muscle mass, the physique, before you can cut to get the abs. Otherwise, it still looks shit. Have a good day, bro. That's all I have to say.